Good morning, girls. There we go. I couldn't get my Marco Polo to turn off. I have a Winnie bot on my shoulder. You're welcome. You're welcome. She looks so tiny, curled up in a ball like that. This is her new favorite spot on the back of that chair, looking out the window. As you can see, all of her toys are up there and she's ruining the chair, but that's okay. They're not great chairs anyway, but look at her. Sweetest thing ever, aren't you? Are you just the sweetest? Yeah. You're so sweet when you're sleepy. Oh, you guys, I have the worst canker sore on the top of my mouth, and it hurts so bad to eat or drink or anything. I say it's a canker sore, but I got burnt on soup the other night, and I think it's just a burn. Oh, it's so sore. It's so sore. All right, who's ready to talk about some bodily discharge today? Anyone else? Not Winnie. She's like, what? You're going to talk about what? All right. First, we're going to talk about treatment of contaminated houses, Leviticus 14, 33 through 57. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, when you arrive in Canaan, the land I am giving you as your own possession, I may contaminate some of the houses in your land with mildew. The owner of such a house must then go to the priest and say, it appears that my house has some kind of mildew. Before the priest goes in to inspect the house, he must have the house emptied, so nothing inside will be pronounced ceremonially unclean. Then the priest will go in and examine the mildew on the walls. If he finds a greenish or reddish streaks and the contamination appears to go deeper than the wall's surface, the priest will step outside the door and put the house in quarantine for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest must return for another inspection. If he finds that mildew on the walls of the house has spread, the priest must order that the stones from those areas be removed. The contaminated materials will then be taken outside to the town to an area designated as ceremonially unclean. Next, the inside walls of the entire house must be scraped thoroughly, and the scrapings dumped in the unclean place outside the town. Other stones will be brought in to replace the ones that were removed, and the walls will be replastered. But if the mildew appears after all the stones have been replaced and the house has been scraped and replastered, the priest must return and inspect the house again. If he finds that mildew has spread, the walls are clearly contaminated with a serious mildew, and the house is defiled. It must be torn down, and all of its stones, timbers, and plaster must be carried out of the town to a place designated as ceremonially unclean. Those who enter the house during the period of quarantine will be ceremonially unclean until evening, and all who sleep or eat in the house must wash their clothing. But if the priest returns for his inspection and finds that the mildew has not reappeared in the house after the fresh plastering, he will pronounce it clean because the mildew is clearly gone. To purify the house, the priest must take 2 birds, a stick of cedar, some scarlet yarn, and a hyssop branch. He will slaughter one of the birds over a clay pot with fresh water. He will take the cedar stick, the hyssop branch, and the scarlet yarn and the live bird and dip them into the blood of the slaughtered bird and into the fresh water. Then he will sprinkle the house 7 times. When the priest has purified the house in exactly this way, he will release the live bird in the open fields and outside the town. Through this process, the priest will purify the house, and it will be ceremonially clean. These are the instructions for dealing with serious skin disease, including scabby sores and mildew, whether on clothing or in a house, and a swelling on the skin, a rash, or discolored skin. This procedure will determine whether the person or object is ceremonially clean or unclean. These instructions regarding skin disease and mildew. Okay. Bodily discharges. Leviticus 15, 1 through 33. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, give the following instructions to the people of Israel. Any man who has a bodily discharge is ceremonially unclean. This defilement is caused by his discharge, whether the discharge continues or stops. In either case, the man is unclean. Any bed on which the man with the discharge lies and anything on which he sits will be ceremonially unclean. So if you touch the man's bed, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If you sit where the man with the discharge has sat, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If you touch the man with the discharge, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If the man spits on you, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. Any saddle blanket on which the man rides will be ceremonially unclean. If you touch anything that was under the man, you will be ceremonially unclean until evening. You must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If the man touches you without first rinsing his hands, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourselves in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. Any clay pot the man touches must be broken, and any wooden utensil he touches must be rinsed with water. When the man with the discharge is healed, he must count off 7 days for the period of purification. He must wash his clothes and bathe himself in fresh water, and he will be ceremonially clean. On the 8th day, he must get 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons and come before the Lord at the entrance of the tabernacle and give his offerings to the priest. The priest will offer one bird for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. Through this process, the priest will purify the man before the Lord for his discharge. Whenever a man has an emission of semen, he must bathe his entire body in water, and he will remain ceremonially unclean for the next until the next evening. Any clothing or leather with semen on it must be washed in water, and it will remain unclean until evening. After a man and woman have had sexual intercourse, they must each bathe in water and will remain unclean until the next evening. Do you understand how hard it is for me to read these things out loud? Do you have any idea? Whenever a woman has her menstrual period, she will be ceremonially unclean for 7 days. Anyone who touches her during that time will be unclean until evening. Anything on which the woman lies or sits during the time of her period will be unclean. If any of you touch her bed, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourselves in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If you touch any object she has sat on, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourselves in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. This includes her bed and any other object she has sat on, and you will be unclean until evening if you touch it. If a man has sexual intercourse with her and her blood touches him, her menstrual impurity will be transmitted to him. He will remain unclean for 7 days, and any bed on which he lies will be unclean. If a woman has a flow of blood for many days that is unrelated to her menstrual period, or if the blood continues beyond the normal period, she is ceremonially unclean. As during her menstrual cycle, the woman will be unclean as long as the discharge continues. Any bed she lies on and any object she sits on during that time will be unclean, just as her normal menstrual period. If anyone of you touches these things, you will be ceremonially unclean. You must wash your clothes and bathe yourselves in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. When the woman's bleeding stops, she must count off 7 days. Then she will be ceremonially clean. On the 8th day, she must bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons and present them to the priest at the entrance of the tabernacle. The priest will offer one for a sin offering and another for a burnt offering. Through this process, the priest will purify her before the Lord for the ceremonial impurity caused by her bleeding. Winnie. Winifred. That was rude. This is how you will guard the people of Israel from ceremonial uncleanness. Otherwise, they would die, for their impurity would defile my tabernacle that stands among them. These are the instructions for dealing with anyone who has a bodily discharge, a man who is unclean because of an emission of semen, or a woman during her menstrual period. It applies to any man or woman who has a bodily discharge, and to a man who has sexual intercourse with a woman who is ceremonially unclean. The Day of Atonement. Leviticus 16, 1 through 34. Phew. The Lord spoke of that is an omission that I didn't care to experience. She is now ceremonially unclean. Stink. The Lord spoke to Moses after the death of Aaron's 2 sons, who died after they entered the Lord's presence and burned the wrong kind of fire before him. The Lord said to Moses, "Warn your brother Aaron not to enter the most holy place behind the inner curtain whenever he chooses. If he does, he will die. For the ark's cover, the place of atonement, is there, and I myself am present in the cloud above the atonement cover. When Aaron enters the sanctuary, he must follow these instructions fully. He must bring a young bull for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. He must put on his linen tunic and the linen undergarments worn next to his body. He must tie the linen sash around his waist and put the linen turban on his head. These are the sacred garments, for he must bathe himself in water before he puts them on. Aaron must take from the community of Israel 2 male goats for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. Aaron will present his own bull as a sin offering to purify himself and his family, making them right with the Lord. Then he must take the 2 male goats and present them to the Lord at the entrance of the tabernacle. He is to cast sacred laws to determine which goat will be reserved as an offering to the Lord and which will carry the sins of the people to the wilderness of Azazel. Aaron will then present the sin offering, as a sin offering the goat chosen by lot for the Lord. The other goat, the scapegoat chosen by lot to be sent away, will be kept alive, standing before the Lord. When it is sent away to Azazel in the wilderness, the people will be purified and made right with the Lord. Aaron will present his own bull for the sin offering to purify himself and his family, making them right with the Lord. After he has slaughtered the bull as a sin offering, he will fill an incense burner with burning coals from the altar that stands before the Lord. Then he will take 2 handfuls of fragrant powdered incense and carry the burner and take incense behind the inner curtain. There, in the Lord's presence, he will make the incense on the burning coals so that the cloud of incense will rise over the ark's cover, the place of atonement that rests on the ark of the covenant. If he follows these instructions, he will not die. Then he must take some of the blood of the bull and dip his fingers in it and sprinkle it on the east side of the atonement cover. He must sprinkle blood 7 times with his finger in front of the atonement cover. Then Aaron must slaughter the first goat as a sin offering for the people and carry its blood behind the inner curtain. There he will sprinkle the goat's blood over the atonement cover and in front of it, just as he did with the bull's blood. Through this process, he will purify the most holy place. And he will do the same for the entire tabernacle because of the defiling sin and rebellion of the Israelites. No one else is allowed inside the tabernacle. When Aaron enters it for the purification ceremony in the most holy place, no one may enter until he comes out again after purifying himself, his family, and all of the congregation of Israel, making them right with the Lord. Then Aaron will come out to purify the altar that stands before the Lord. He will do this by taking some of the blood from the bull and the goat and putting it on each of the horns of the altar. Then he must sprinkle the blood with his finger 7 times over the altar. In this way, he will cleanse it from Israel's defilement and make it holy. When Aaron has finished purifying the most holy place and the tabernacle and the altar, he must present the live goat. He will lay both of his hands on the goat's head and confess over it all the wickedness, rebellion, and sins of the people of Israel. In this way, he will transfer the people's sins to the head of the goat. The man specially chosen for the task will drive the goat out into the wilderness. As the goat goes into the wilderness, it will carry all the people's sins upon it into a desolate land. When Aaron goes back into the tabernacle, he must take off the linen garments he was wearing when he entered the most holy place, and he must leave the garments there. Then he must bathe himself with water in a sacred place and put on his regular garments and go out and sacrifice a burnt offering for himself and a burnt offering for the people. Through this process, he will purify himself as the people, making them right with the Lord. He must then burn all the fat of the sin offering on the altar. The man chosen to drive the scapegoat into the wilderness of Azazel must wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. Then he may return to the camp. The bull and the goat presented as a sin offering, whose blood Aaron takes into the most holy place for the purification ceremony, will be carried outside the camp. The animal's hides, internal organs, and dung are all to be burned. The man who burns them must wash his clothes and bathe himself in water before returning to the camp. On the 10th day of the appointed month in early autumn, you must deny yourselves. Neither native-born Israelites nor foreigners living among you may do any kind of work. This is a permanent law for you. On that day, the offerings of purification will be made for you, and you will be purified in the Lord's presence from all your sins. It will be a Sabbath day of complete rest for you, and you must deny yourselves. This is a permanent law for you. In future generations, the purification ceremony will be performed by the priest who has been anointed and ordained to serve as high priest in the place of his ancestor Aaron. He will put on the holy garments and purify the most holy place of the tabernacle and the priests and the entire congregation. This is a permanent law for you, to purify the people of Israel from their sins, making them right with the Lord once each year. Moses followed all these instructions exactly as the Lord had commanded. We did it, Winnie. I did not mean to do that. Fell off the side of the chair. Yeah, that is a hard reading. I know it's the Bible and all, but what are we doing? What are we doing, Winnie Beans? What are we doing? Where are we going? Where are we going? Are we getting down? Okay, we're getting down. Okay, please do not launch that thing again. Okay, bye. Can you imagine reading those verses aloud in Sunday school? We don't talk about Leviticus very often in church, do we? All right, girls. Well, we were going to go to First Watch for breakfast, but my kid was not feeling super hot. So we might go to Olive Garden for lunch instead. We have gift cards for both. So we may go to Olive Garden for lunch. I don't know. Or we may just sit here and do nothing. Or we may go shopping so she can spend her Christmas gift cards. So that's the plan for today. But before I do any of that, I have got to go film my curds and wow for today, which is going to be a lovely candy bar recipe that I'm really excited about. I have a couple more coming. I have a bunch more coming up, but I have a couple more that I'm really excited about. I just have to get the ingredients for. But today's is going to be decadent and delicious and very candy barish. And I'm going to use my last scoop of cottage cheese. So I do have to leave the house today one way or the other because I need to get cottage cheese. I swear I've gone through 10 gallons of cottage cheese. Need to run into Publix and hopefully the good culture will be there. Oh, you are, Cindy. That one was really good. I really like that. Back before Trim Healthy, I used to make an orange creamsicle pie, and I think I have a recipe for orange creamsicle bars anyway, but for Trim Healthy. But back before, I used to make this orange cream pie all the time. I brought it everywhere. My neighbor loved it. I would always make her one. It was so good, and that cup is super reminiscent of that. So it is very, very good. I'm going to run into that health food store today, hopefully, and get some more of that Jell-O. Excuse me. Somebody said they used a true orange packet, which was a good idea too. Wouldn't be as Jell-O-y, but it's not even gelatin. That Simply Delish is not even gelatin. It's gelatin-like, but it works like gelatin. But it's vegan. All right, girls. Well, thanks for joining me. I need to go make a candy bar. I love you. Awesome, Dana. It was a really good breakfast. You know, I only maybe barely could eat half of that. That was filling. That was filling. Now, dinner, I could probably eat the whole thing, but breakfast, I could not eat the entire thing. Because I drank a cup of protein coffee, so to add that on, my stomach can't handle it anymore because I got all this protein in my coffee. So, all right, loves, let's go ahead and close in prayer. Father God, thank you for our time here together. Thank you for the reading of your word, as difficult as it can be at times. We know that it all points to you, God, and we just thank you for the ability we have to sit and read it, the authority we have to sit and read it, and to bring our worries and fears and concerns and hopes and dreams and everything to the feet of the cross. And God, we just praise you and worship you today, that we just simply because you love us. God, I pray for each woman here and everything that they might be going through. You know all of the struggles and the unique concerns that each of them have. I just ask for your provision and blessings today upon them. As we go through this day, I pray that you will help us to be mindful of everything that we say and do, the words we use with others, both in person and on social media, that we will be grace filled with our words towards others. In your precious name, amen. All right, dears. I love you. Thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you all for devotions tomorrow. They will be early tomorrow because flu season is finally chilling out. So we're going to go back to church. We haven't been to church in a while because I'm not a big go hang out in crowds during flu season kind of a girl. I'm just not. So we're going to go back tomorrow. So it will be early tomorrow. I love you, girls. Hope you have a great day.